Slash Quest. It just arrived on Apple Arcade, and today I'm going to provide my initial thoughts on this action RPG game, I suppose. So I've been playing Slash Quest today for about 5 to 6 hours, and I wasn't even going to put out a review, but I really love this game and I want it to get as many eyes as possible just because it's really special and it's different to what we have on the platform in terms of gameplay. Even though its art style is very reminiscent of Apple Arcade, its gameplay is where it really shines. I would also say that Slash Quest has a very good Nintendo vibe to it, from the art style, sound design, and gameplay wise. So fun fact, Slash Quest was originally featured back in 2017 at Game Jam. Back then it had a very different art style and it wasn't as colourful, it was kind of a little bit more dark. This version of Slash Quest was a little bit bare because it mainly just focused on action. However, as you will soon find out, the Apple Arcade version of Slash Quest was greatly expanded upon. So what is the Apple Arcade version really like? Gameplay wise, it all revolves around this sword, which can also talk. When you attack enemies in this game, the sword can grow. When it grows, it makes it somewhat easier to hit enemies, but it also allows you to solve puzzles and to traverse the environments. But you have to keep in mind that if you hit rocks or obstacles or other things, the sword can then shrink. And then when it shrinks, it makes this really funny sound where it kind of sounds like a balloon. It goes it's really funny. The whole game kind of plays like you're driving a car that has a sword in front. Yeah, trust me, it kind of does. It doesn't really make sense to explain it in that way, but when you play it, it kind of makes sense. It takes you a little while to get the hang of it, but after the first 2 levels, it makes sense and it's super satisfying. You'll be slashing all these enemies, slashing like plant life and getting coins and unlocking chests. And it's just, man, it's such a satisfying game in terms of not just its art style, but the sound design of when you're slashing things. It sounds so good. You keep wanting to play it. I especially love how every chapter is incredibly different. Not just in terms of the location, but also the enemies. There are lots of different enemies so that pretty much you never have the same experience because there are so many diverse characters and enemies and so forth. The game is also pretty playable on the touchscreen, which you don't often see. It's definitely more comfortable with a controller, but the touchscreen UI is pretty simple and self-explanatory in order to just move around and slash the sword. If you are having issues with the controls, you can go into settings and adjust it to your liking. Slash Quest is definitely an action game at heart, but it also has some role-playing elements. You can equip charms for you or the sword in order to get more powerful, from a lightning spark, so you can hit enemies with lightning. You can get a power-up so that you can run faster. You can get a power-up so that enemies take less hits, or that if you hit something like a rock, your sword doesn't shrink as much, or you can equip different gear for your character, and you can get different trails for your sword when it swings. It's pretty minor stuff in terms of role-playing, but it's there, and it's great that it's here, so that game isn't just, just always swinging a sword, just so you can do different things. But you can also go on quests, and you can go on challenges. Now, quests and challenges, I would say they are the hardest part of the game. It's where I died the most, because in the main story, I never died, and I didn't really take many lives as well. I wouldn't say the game is very challenging. It's pretty easy. Some might consider that to be a negative of the game, but it's not really, just because the game has a little bit of a casual tone to it, so it's really good to play in short round bursts, but at the same time, you can really get sucked into it just because of how the game has been made. It's really addicting, and the art style, it really keeps you sucked in. I played Slash Quest on an Apple TV 4K for the most part, which was my favorite place to play it just because I could sit back on the couch, use a controller, and it was really enjoyable. But I also played it on an iPhone 11 and iPad Pro 4th gen and my 5K iMac, and across all those platforms the game was really stable. It's not a high-end game, by any means. I also didn't notice really any bugs or performance issues. Recently, a lot of Apple Arcade titles have had bugs and issues on launch, and which has been disappointing, but this one hasn't. There was one time where I couldn't solve a puzzle mechanic, and I don't know if that was just because I was really dumb, but then I had to reset back to the last checkpoint and then I could get through it. But yeah, I think that was just because I'm not very good at solving puzzles. Let me know in the comments if you are going to download Slash Quest, or are you going to skip it? What do you just think of the game overall if you have played it? Love it? Dislike it? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, it really supports the channel, and subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with everything Apple Arcade related. Anyway, my name's Stewie, and thank you so much for watching.